is back into it in Chester. Here's El Senior. Yes! Yes!
The center back, Jacob Glesnes, is going for it.
Oh my God! What a goal! And that will do it! One of the best comebacks in recent years. 3 unanswered by the Union. And they go into the Gold Cup break, winning it 3-2.
Hello, welcome to the Free Kick Podcast. My name is Todd. And yeah, what an exciting game for the Philadelphia Union against, I'm not even going to call them our rivals anymore because they don't want to consider us that. More on that later. Against the New York Red Bulls, they don't even deserve to be called the Pink Cows. The Union, we know, won that game 1-0, goal courtesy of Corey Burke. But yeah, the reason I bring that up, not rivals, is I don't know if you guys saw this on Twitter. On Sunday, we're recording this podcast on May 17th on a Monday. On Sunday, I believe it was, the New York Red Bulls posted a poll on Twitter that said, do you consider the Philadelphia Union rivals? And 666 people voted on this poll. And majority of the people said no. And they said the people that were voting yes are Philadelphia Union fans. Well, look, I don't even think we should consider them our rivals, because if you go back to the last 6 games that the Philadelphia Union and the New York Red Bulls played, the Union have won 5 of them. That is 4 straight wins the Union have in all competitions against the Red Bulls. If you look at all 35 games played in all competitions, Union have 14 wins, 5 draws, and 16 losses. So things are starting to get pretty even in terms of wins and losses. But like I said, 5 wins in the last 6 games, 11 goals scored for, and 7 goals against, 3 straight games with a clean sheet. The last time that the New York Red Bulls came in Subaru Park and scored a goal was in that playoff game where they scored 3. We came from behind a 2-goal deficit twice in the playoff game, as we all remember. But the last time that the Philadelphia Union had lost to the New York Red Bulls, gotta go back a long time for that. And the Red Bulls don't want to consider us our rivals. That's fine. Once we continue to beat you guys, if we get matched up in the playoffs and continue to beat them, then they might change how they feel about us. It's pretty bad coming from a team that's an MLS original, have only won 1 trophy, and we've been a lot less of a time than the New York Red Bulls, and they bring up things of the past. Oh, we signed this player. We did this. We did that. Well, both clubs only have 1 trophy. And now the Union are starting to catch up in the matches that they lost early on in this quote-unquote rivalry, and have 14 wins. 5 wins in the last 6 games. So Union continue to win. We'll see what changes. But let's talk about MLS news, which, let's be honest, I don't think too much exciting things went on over the weekend, because I only have one thing to share with you guys. But nonetheless, let's go into the news. Yeah, so the only thing that I found interesting, I delayed doing this podcast to find out what exactly the injury was to Aaron Long. It looks like maybe a Achilles injury, because he could not get off of the pitch on his own will. And then leaving the stadium, him and a trainer had to basically carry him to the locker room, where he could not put any pressure onto his right leg at all. And the New York Red Bulls have yet to say anything about that injury, which I suspect that it's probably pretty serious if we haven't heard anything yet. I'm sure when the New York Red Bulls later on this week do their press conference, I'm sure the coach will get asked about that, and we'll get clarification on that at that time. But yeah, I have nothing for you guys. But look, it's their best defender, and if he's out for the rest of the season, it's going to suck for them. But the only bit of news I want to bring up is the Eastern Conference standings and the Western Conference standings in MLS. So in number 1 in the Eastern Conference, we have New England. In 6 games played, they are 3-2-1 with 11 points. Orlando City is 2 in 5 games played, 2 wins, 3 draws, no losses. The only team, along with Nashville, who have yet to lose in the Eastern Conference. And Orlando City, they have 9 points. And third is New York City, 5 games played, 2 wins, 2 losses, 2 draws, and 1 loss, 8 points. Atlanta United in 5 games, 2 wins, 2 draws, 1 loss, 8 points. Then we have Montreal in 6 games played, 2 wins, 2 draws, 2 losses, 8 points. Philadelphia Union in 6th place in 6 games. They also have 2 wins, 2 losses, 2 draws with 8 points. And Inter Miami in 7th with 6 games played, 2 wins, 2 draws, 2 losses, 8 points as well. 8th, Nashville, like I said, the only other team in the Eastern Conference who have not lost. They have 1 win, 4 draws, and 0 losses, which is good enough for 7 points. They've only played 5 games. And 9th is the New York Red Bulls. In 5 games played, they have 2 wins, 3 losses. 2 out of those 3 losses have been on the road. That is good enough for 6 points. DC United sit in 10th in 6 games played, 2 wins, 0 draws, 4 losses, 6 points. 11th, Columbus. This is really surprising because everybody had Columbus in first place, and so did I. I thought they were the best team in the Eastern Conference, and so far they are struggling in MLS play. In 5 games, they have 1 win, 2 draws, and 2 losses, 5 points. But the thing that's surprising about Columbus is they have a -1 goal differential. They've only scored 3 goals so far this season while conceding 4 goals. We saw them last season score a ton of goals and concede one of the fewest amount of goals last season in MLS play. And yeah, Columbus, for whatever reason, they're just not getting it done right now. In 12th, Toronto, they have 1 win, 2 draws, and 2 losses, which is good enough for 5 points in 5 games played. In 13th is Chicago with no wins, 1 draw, 4 losses with 1 point. And in 14th is the team that everybody had winning MLS on paper with all their signings they made in 4 games played, is the team that is going to be getting blunder of the week later on. 0 wins, 1 draw, 3 losses, 1 point, -9 goal differential. That is FC Cincinnati. Real quick, the Western Conference, we have Seattle Sounders in first. 5 wins, 1 draw, no losses, 16 points, off to a flying start. Second, LA Galaxy. They have 5 matches played, 4 wins, 0 draws, 1 loss, 12 points. Sporting KC, 3 wins, 1 draw, 2 losses, 10 points. Colorado Rapids have been playing some good soccer so far earlier on in the season. 3 wins, 1 draw, 1 loss, 10 points. San Jose, 3 wins and 3 draws. We have Houston in 6th, 6 games played, 2 wins, 2 draws, 2 losses. 7th, Real Salt Lake, 2 wins, 1 draw, 1 loss. Vancouver, 2 wins, 1 draw, 3 losses. Portland, 2 wins, 0 draws, 3 losses. Also surprising there to see Portland have 3 losses already on the season. And granted, coming off tough CCL play, and that's one thing that people thought Philadelphia Union would struggle with, is just how would they balance MLS play and CCL play. And look, the Union have a total of 5 points in the last 3 games, which, they have 7 points in the last 3 games, which we would definitely take, right? Out of a possible 9. But going back, Portland, like I said, are in 9th with 2 wins, 3 losses. 10th, Austin, 2 wins, 3 losses. 11th, Minnesota, 2 wins, 4 losses. Dallas, 1 win, 2 draws, and 2 losses. And the most surprising out of the bunch, in 13th place is LAFC, 1 win, 2 draws, 2 losses, -1 goal differential for 5 points. Yeah, he knows what's going on in LAFC, because it's not looking good for LAFC at all. But let's go on. That is it for MLS news, unlike last week where I think we spent 40, 50 minutes talking about what was going on last week in MLS. So let's go ahead and talk about this Philadelphia Union versus New York Red Bulls game a little bit. Like I said, we all know the Union won that game 1-0, courtesy of a Corey Burke goal in the 9th minute. Overall, I thought the Union played well, considering that they had 2 days of rest compared to New York Red Bulls having a 4 weeks worth of rest. I thought the Union dealt with New York Red Bulls' high press really well early on in this game. Glesnes and Elliott were both comfortable playing the ball out of the back didn't let the press affect them at all. They could have folded at times because they had attackers right in their face. They had the midfielders right in their face, but they switched the ball comfortably. They had diagonal passes all night, finding their target. Going back to that goal, it all started with Andre Blake. And I always say, always in the stands, you guys hear me on the podcast say, Andre Blake's weakest part of his games is his goal kicks. It's always a turnover. It never gets to a player. Well, the Union win the ball off of an Andre Blake goal kick. The ball falls to Anthony Fontana. Anthony Fontana plays a beautiful ball to Jamir Montero, who sees Corey Burke making an outstanding run. And Jamir just slots the ball in perfectly for Corey Burke to chip the ball over a sliding Carlos Cornell, ex-Philadelphia Union goalkeeper. And yeah, that's all the goals this game had. But just to build up for that play, I wasn't expecting it because, like I said, more times than not, we see Andre Blake just kick the ball upfield and it's turned over. The Union don't win the 50-50 ball. The ball sometimes doesn't come close to a Union player, and it's like, great, like, why don't we just play it short out of the back when our goal kicks never work for us? Well, it worked on that play right there. And a big part of the Union's success came from the diagonal balls from Glisses and Elliott, I thought, and even Mbaizo and Wagner playing out of the back. These guys were so comfortable in the night, and for a team that loves the press like the New York Red Bulls, didn't seem like the defenders were affected by that at all at Saturday night's game. Like I said, just Mbaizo and Wagner, both of them weren't phased at all by the press. Both of them continued to attack down the flanks. But the one thing that I'm noticing is through 6 games for the Union, where we would see the last couple of years since we got Kai Wagner, since 2019, the Union would primarily attack down the left side of the field. Well, if you go back and look at the 6 games that the Union have played in MLS play, or even go ahead and look at CCL play, the stats show that the Union are actually attacking more times than not on the right flanks. And that's due because of how well Olivier Mbaizo has been playing offensively. This dude loves running down the right side of the field. The Union love having him as an option, and to have 2 really good fullbacks that you can use as wingers to get far down that pitch to send in crosses. Yeah, it causes problems for defenders. It's like, okay, not only do we have to worry about Kai Wagner putting in good crosses from the left, or Leon Flocks putting in good crosses when he's down on the left side of the field, but now we got to deal with, we already knew Bedoya could put in good service from the right side, but not only that, now we got to deal with this guy Mbaizo, and Mbaizo just continues to impress, and I'll probably talk about him a little bit later on, but I thought he was really, really, really well played, really well for it against the New York Red Bulls. Was hoping that he would score that goal that he had. I think Bedoya played him in, and Cornell made a good save. But Mbaizo, I mean, it's coming, right? This is something where we've seen in multiple games where it's looked like he's been genuinely close scoring a goal. And that's something that we haven't really seen too much of Ray Gaddis over the years. Never really saw Ray Gaddis coming close. And in Mbaizo, it always seems like he's at least 2 for 1 a game. And just keep doing your thing. And Mbaizo, Jamiro and Fontana, both I thought were able to dribble and turn out of pressure, really tight spaces. And I know Anthony Fontana was playing on the 8, and you guys have heard me say I like him at the 10, Jamiro as the 8. But Jim Hayes said, look, Anthony Fontana is going to go out there and play the 8. And I shouldn't be surprised, right, that Anthony Fontana started this game because it makes sense. Only 2 days rest. Jack McGlynn didn't do a whole lot when he got the start against New England. It just made sense that Anthony Fontana would get the start. But then Jim Curtin was kind of hinting at, he might not get the start. We thought it was best that he would come off the bench. Didn't do a whole lot offensively, but did he kill the Union? No. Didn't kill the Union at all. And a little bit surprised, right, seeing Anthony Fontana being the first sub off for Kasper Schbelko to go ahead and play the number 10. we heard Jim Curtin talk in 2019 in one of his press conferences and said, hey, look, we've messed with Casper at the 10. If we really wanted to, Casper can play the 10 position. And this is the first time ever that the Union have had all three of their strikers on the field at the same time with Sergio Corey Burke and Casper Schbelko. And when Casper was playing the 10, I don't think he played bad at all as the 10. He linked up really well with his teammates. I'm trying to think of the play. He played a really good 1-2. It was down in the river end that it happened because obviously that's when he got subbed on. I'm trying to think who he played that really good 1-2 with, and they had a chance to score. What was that? Mbazu's chance? It might have been Mbazu's chance. Where who did he play the 1-2 with? Bedoya maybe, and he slotted the ball to Mbazu. Is that the play I'm thinking of? I know he had a beautiful 1-2 with somebody. I'm like, okay, Casper, like the dude's not the fastest, but he can pass the ball and looked really good playing the number 10. And look, Anthony Fontana, going back to him, offensively, yes, we all wanted to see him involved more in the attack. He was not. But the one thing I do like about Fontana, he made 17 passes, and 15 of his 17 passes were accurate. He had an 88% succession rate. Look, it's great that he's passing and everything, but I want to see Fontana on the ball a lot more than what the Union got him on the ball. I want to see him taking shots. He had no shots in this game. Yeah, he had that one play that, like I said, that led up to the Corey Burke goal where he played a beautiful ball to Anthony Fontana, so he got the assist of the assist. But he's a guy who I want to see just taking a lot more shots. He's a lot better of an offensive player than he is defensive player. And Jim just decided to play him at the 8, not the 10. He had 3 tackles on the night, so look, can't complain about that he had 3 tackles out of his 5 were successful. He had 1 interception, so he was doing the work defensively and didn't pick up a yellow card. That's something that we've complained about him in the past, where defensively, when he's getting subbed on, he's kind of a hothead. And for the 58 minutes, I think he played 59 minutes that he played, didn't pick up a yellow card, didn't commit a foul. He played well defensively. And again, just I want to see Anthony Fontana involved more offensively, especially with all the goals that we saw him score last season. And Jamiro just, there's nothing I need to say about Jamiro, really. Just, I'm really impressed with how well this team played against the Red Bulls, how fit they were. For having 7 games in 19 days, the lack of rotating we've seen, the lack of sub choices, which year after year, everybody's complaining about that. I was surprised. I was really surprised. And I'm not going to lie. I know when Ricky and Ed were on the podcast last episode, we didn't give our predictions for the Red Bulls, because if we would have talked about that game, previewed that game at all, we probably would have been talking for another 30, 45 minutes. I mean, we already talked long enough. I was like, yeah, let's not talk any longer than what we've already talked. But I ran into AJ, you guys heard on this podcast a couple times, participating in Union Trivia, and then him and his brother Luke were on to talk about the podcast, the Dupree brothers, how they got into the Union a while back. And I said to AJ, he was like, what's your prediction? And I was like, what's my prediction? And I said 2-0 Red Bulls. So he heard 2, and I think he thought I said Union. Then his eyes like got big and everything. He's like, wait, Red Bulls. I said, yeah, look, just my thinking is they have a week's worth of rest. Union have 2 days. We know Jim Curtin's not really going to rotate, and that's going to be huge. I'm like, I'm hoping I'm wrong. I'm really hoping I'm wrong. And yeah, sure enough, I was wrong. One goal for the Union, none for the Red Bulls. And look, we've seen the Union more times than not this season be a second half team. And throughout their history, the Union are more of a second half team than a first half team. And they go against everything and score a goal in the first half, and not even later on in the first half, in the first 10 minutes of the game, they score a goal, which is so uncharacteristic. And I'm not complaining, and it's a lot of defending the Union had to do throughout this game with how much pressure that New York Red Bulls placed on the Union. But just, I honestly can't believe how fit the Union were. With 2 days rest, how many games they played? 7 in the last 19 days. It's a lot to get your body to recover, and they played well against the New York Red Bulls, well enough to get the win. But speaking about good, bad, all that stuff, let's get straight into that, where I was talking a little bit about just the fitness levels, like how well the Union were able to control this game, to take certain players out of the game. You look at the players that the Red Bulls want to touch the ball the most, with Frankie Amar, Caden Clark, Royer, and Fabio. That's the three most offensive players that they had on the field. Where you look, Amar had 26 touches, Caden Clark had 49, Royer had 24, which played so bad in the first half that the Red Bulls subbed him out going into the second half, at the start of the second half. And then Fabio had 29 touches. That's, and by the way, Fabio, he has 4 assists on the season. This guy is the absolute best target man that a team could hope for. He's tall body, uses his body well. It's hard for players to get the ball off of him, and the Union didn't struggle at all on Fabio. This guy just couldn't play his game. And if you go ahead and look at his heat map, this guy was playing a lot centrally. He was having to drop deep to collect the ball because Jacob Glesnes and Jack Elliott were giving this guy no room at all to get touches in their attacking third of the field. And that's how you know that the defenders, that's how you know the team, the midfielders are doing the job, when you have your attackers, your strikers, going back to the halfway line, going to the center circle, the right side of the field of the halfway line, the left side of the field, going to touch the ball. There was points in this game that Fabio was so deep that it was in a right back position, a left back position, just to touch the ball. And if that doesn't tell you how dominant that Jack Elliott, that Jacob Glesnes was, then I don't know what more proof that you need to see that these two center backs are. Look, losing Mark McKenzie sucks, but how much did we really lose other than pace? Because when you're having a striker drop back to the right back role, back to the left back role to get a touch, you've done your job. And like I said, this is your classic target man. He played 76 minutes to only get 29 touches of the ball. Well done, Union. Only had 10 passes. 10. That is it. 10 passes. The Union absolutely did the job against Fabio, and well played. And like I said, Daniel Royer wasn't any better. 24 touches, got subbed out going into the second half. Union did their job. We saw Caden Clark scoring back-to-back games. Didn't score against the Union. There's just nothing, absolutely nothing that the New York Red Bulls can do offensively. I know they used all 5 of their substitutes and didn't make a difference. We saw Mbaizo making it difficult for Caden Clark. Caden Clark kept running into Mbaizo's body and went to the ground. And look, dude's 17 years old. He's talented, but when you're going against a player that's playing as well as Mbaizo, a guy that's super fast, that will play right on top of you, just like Kai Wagner, because the Union's press is so good like that. As soon as the opposition touches the ball, there's a defender right there on their back. And Mbaizo was on Caden Clark, I feel like, more times than not on the night. Obviously, Leon Flock should get his praise and everything, but yeah, I was just really surprised. Actually, not surprised, just really, really happy with the way that Mbaizo played. I shouldn't even say surprised because he's been playing so well this whole season for the Union. If you look at his first 2 games played, yeah, we were probably surprised. But he's been playing these kind of games week in, week out. And so how surprised can we be? I know Jim Curtin was asked, I think, last week in his press conference, and somebody said, is Leon Flock the biggest surprise for you? He said, yeah, Leon Flock is a big surprise for me. But bigger than that is Mbaizo, where we gave him chances last year, but he's coming in, filling it out for Ray Gaddis, who we all know retired, who's a good defender, just not good getting forward. And Mbaizo, not only is he getting forward, but he's playing really well defensively and made it really difficult for Caden Clark. And I'm sure once that final whistle blew, Caden Clark was probably happy that, yeah, I don't have to deal with Mbaizo anymore. Because look, we even saw Caden Clark get subbed out in the 77th minute when he just couldn't do anything. And that whole left side of the field, a guy that was used to just having his way against opposition this season, Mbaizo wasn't giving him any room. And again, like we were talking about Fabio dropping deep to collect the ball, it's exactly what Caden Clark had to do. And well played just defensively for the Union. If you're not letting these guys touch the ball in dangerous areas and they're dropping back to the halfway line, past the halfway line, now into the defensive half, you've done your job. And I think that's probably the key for the Union, that they didn't allow the New York Red Bulls to get into any dangerous positions. The only time that the Union allowed them to get in dangerous positions when the Union fouled them in dangerous positions, which didn't happen often. And yeah, that will be something I'll briefly talk about in the bad. But just overall, I mean, what a job Mbaizo did. Kai Wagner, Jack Elliott, Jacob Glesnes, and then Leon Flock. Great. But then if I give all 5 of those guys praise, Ali Bedoya, look, everybody's probably going to give Corey Burke man of the match because he scored the goal, or Jameer Montero because he got the assist. But in my opinion, I think Ali Bedoya played the best on the night. It looked like he was limping a little bit on the night, but that's only because this guy's, 34, 35 years old, gets no break. Jim Curtin refuses to substitute Ali Bedoya off the field unless he's dead. And yeah, I know the passing wasn't really there, 62%, 23 out of 37 passes. He had 62 touches on the night, though. 62. If you look at his heat map, he was so active in the final third with Mbaizo, linking up so well with Mbaizo. And this is a guy who I think gets better with age. And I feel like all the years that he's been here with the Union, right now in 2021, I feel like, yeah, he doesn't have the goals to show for it, but I feel like this is the best that we've seen him attacking. Yeah, he doesn't have the goals. Yeah, he doesn't have the assist, but he's linking up so well with Mbaizo. And I know there was a time in the second half when I think a ball fell to Corey Burke because the Red Bulls failed to clear the ball. And Bedoya is making this starting run down the right side of the field. And Corey Burke didn't see him or didn't hear Ali Bedoya. All Burke had to do was play a good passing, and Ali's in for at least a shot on goal, on target. Who knows if we would have scored? And Ali was like throwing his hands in the air, like so pissed that Burke didn't pass him the ball here because it was in. And we're seeing more times than not, I feel like, that Bedoya is getting in very, very dangerous areas, and he's linking up so well with Mbaizo. And maybe it's because Bedoya isn't used to having a right back be such an attacking player. But Ali, not only is he winning headers, he's getting in dangerous positions. And because he does a lot of things that don't show up on the stat sheet, people aren't going to say, well, look, yeah, he played well, but he didn't do this, he didn't do that. I think a lot of times people aren't noticing what he does. And I think more times than not, it goes unnoticed how many times he wins the ball in the air. And yeah, people see the tackles that he makes. People see the tactical fouls that he makes, but those overlapping runs that he makes, the cover that he has for Mbaizo when he gets forward, the passes that he makes, the little things where he doesn't get dribble passed too many times. He's a real solid player. And like I said, I just think that Ali Bedoya is getting better and better with age. And like we talked about earlier with the Jameer Montero assist to Corey Burke, just what an absolutely fantastic finish by Corey Burke, who, by the way, leads the Philadelphia Union in goals in MLS play with 2. Yeah, a lot of goals, 2. And Jameer Montero, he picked up his 2 assists on this game as well. And if you guys were paying attention, Andre Blake picked up his 3rd clean sheet in MLS play, his 6th in all competitions. Center back Jacob Glesnes earned his 95th start for the Philadelphia Union, which is crazy. A 4th round MLS draft pick, wasn't supposed to pan out. 95 starts already for the Philadelphia Union. What a key player he's been. Jameer Montero also started his 50th game for the Philadelphia Union. Kai Wagner made his 50th appearance for the Philadelphia Union. And Bedoya, he made his 130th career appearance for the Union. So a couple stats that I thought people should know. Look, like I said, not a whole lot of bad to go over. One, like I told you guys, the giveaways in the dangerous areas. Maybe fatigue set in. Maybe that's why they gave stupid fouls in dangerous areas. But look, the Union weren't really fazed by any of the chances. They defended well. Anytime that the Red Bulls had a corner, anytime that they had a set piece, the Union were able to clear it away. And yeah, when they're clearing it away, you would hope that the Union were able to go onto the counterattack and make the Red Bulls play. No counterattacks ever really materialized for the Union. But I'm not complaining. Look, if you're going to give goals, if you're going to give fouls away in dangerous areas, you better hope that the teams don't capitalize off of them. And look, the Red Bulls didn't capitalize, and the Union come away with another clean sheet. And then, too, we talked about this a little bit. Are the Union, last episode we talked, are the Union a careless team? Are they a undisciplined team? I don't know. Maybe this game shows that they are, because they picked up 2 more yellow cards, Jack Elliott and Leon Flock, in the 90th minute. And granted, Leon Flock got chubbed and got Yearwood sent off, his 2nd yellow card in 16 minutes. Crazy. You want to talk about undisciplined. To pick up 2 yellow cards in 16 minutes, it's pretty undisciplined right there for the Red Bulls. But yeah, I agree. The pushing, the shoving, the Union, they've got to knock it off, because we know that as of right now, they don't have a ton of depth. But yellow card accumulations, if these guys continue to pick up yellow cards, yeah, it's going to cost the Union. But it is funny that I bring up depth, because after the game, I don't know how many of you guys listened to Jim Curtin's press conference, but he slipped in something that you guys should listen to.
All things considered, with the amount of games that we've played, to be at 500 right now is a good spot to be in. I think we'll only get better as the year goes on, as a player or two comes in as well to help us. But again, the players deserve all the credit here for the effort that they gave on the field on a very short rest, a very difficult team to play against, and a team that's in New York Red Bull that's going to win a lot of games this year. So, happy with the performance. We get to recover, have a full week of training in front of us, which will be very nice. To maybe work on some of those transitions and getting plays right in front of goal.
So, yeah, I mean, yeah, he's talking about, yeah, it's great to have a full week of training and yada, yada, yada. I didn't really care about all that. And did you guys pick up on it? He said 1 to 2 more players. 1 to 2 more pieces coming in. I've got to assume that that's not Gazdag, because it's already been announced that he's coming to the Union. But it could be. It could be the one that he's talking about. But I've got to think that the Union know that they need more pieces, because I'd like to believe that's why Jim's not using all the subs, because he knows, look, I have a whole bunch of young kids on my bench. I don't trust them to come in and make a difference, to shut down in the final minutes to help us keep a lead. He says 1 to 2 pieces. And so I'm going to go ahead and say he's not talking about Gazdag. If the Union are going to go on a deep CCL run, if they're going to go on a deep run in MLS to try to fight for the Supporters Shield, which, hey, look, Seattle have a huge lead right now in MLS play, they've got to bring in more pieces, more experience, and they've got to rotate the squad. Now, is that Jim Curtin just giving Union fans hope? Yeah, maybe. But I've got to imagine that the Union are pretty confident that Kasper Schmelko, Sergio Santos, Kai Wagner, if he's still here, all three of those guys are due to get a green card. And if all three of those guys get a green card, well, now the Union have spots to bring in more international players. And my only hope is, look, it's great bringing in players here that represent their national teams, but this is one thing that I think fans need to realize about Gazdag is he's coming off of a 34-game schedule. It's a ton of games for a soccer player to play. And look, a minimum, he'll play 3 games with Hungary, which means he would be at 37 games played. And the Union schedule, by the time he would come back, still not halfway over. Still a lot of games left to be played in MLS and then CCL play. So for fans to expect him to make a huge difference come July, I don't know how much of a difference he's going to make because of those 34 games that he's played this season. And if he plays a minimum of 3 games with Hungary, that's 37. How much energy does he have left in the tank? And look, the Union are talking about, we heard it last episode, where they want him to be here for the DC United game, for the Portland game. That's their hope. So they can at least see him one time before he goes away to the Euros. This guy is going to be playing soccer year-round without a break. He's getting a week, 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks of rest, that's it, and back at full force again. It's not a lot of recovery time for a player that's played a ton of games. I mean, he could potentially end his soccer year playing over 50 games. It's a ton of games, and don't see many players in the soccer world play over 50 games and continue to perform at a high level. So I'll be curious to see what Gazdag has when he's finally playing for the Philadelphia Union. But like I said, I think fans need to just realize he's played a lot of games, and if he doesn't impress as much as fans hope that we think he's going to, cut him some slack because of all the games he's played. But just going back to Jim Curtin's point before I beat this completely dead, let's hope that it's another striker coming in. You can never have enough midfielders, I feel like. They don't really need a defender. So we'll see what pieces they bring in. I think if they bring in somebody, it's going to be one more player, and I think it's going to be a striker. But I don't know. Maybe Jim Curtin said bringing in 1 or 2 pieces coming in. Maybe he's just that one piece. Maybe he's talking about Gazdag. But in my opinion, I don't think it's that. But before we end this episode, like we always do, let's go ahead to Blunder of the Week. And so my blunder of the week, like I said earlier, talking about the team that's in last place in the Eastern Conference, which is FC Cincinnati. I don't know if you guys watch that game on Fox Sports, but that second goal that they gave up, the first goal, first of 2 that Gonzalo Higuain scored against that atrocious FC Cincinnati defense. You look, I'll leave the link in the show notes. I'll do the job for you guys if you guys haven't seen this goal that they conceded. It's pitiful what their defense gave up. So yeah, my blunder of the week is going to the FC Cincinnati defense. Yeah, so without you guys seeing this, because obviously this is all audio, so you guys can't really see what what I'm talking about. Inter Miami are down attacking in FC Cincinnati's defensive zone. Lewis Morgan's tied out with a center back. The defensive players for Cincinnati look like they have this under control because they come and put a double team on Lewis Morgan. Great, they win the ball. Oh no, they actually turn the ball straight over again to Inter Miami. Inter Miami player finds Federico Higuain, plays a beautiful flick to his brother Gonzalo. And the player that I'm singling out right here is their center back, number 5, who was making his MLS debut for Cincinnati. Biasia gets turned. Just he completely misses the tackle on Higuain. And then Jeff Cameron comes over to try to clean up the mess, and so slow. He's 35 years old. I don't know why FC Cincinnati thought that Jeff Cameron would be the answers to the defensive mishaps. Well, when you have a player like Gonzalo Higuain running faster than you, in my opinion, that's probably when you should call it quits on your career. But Biasia, just terrible. I mean, I talked about this earlier in one of the podcasts earlier in the season where I think it was Leon Flock against New York City. He missed his tackle in the box, and it led to a New York City goal. More times than not, when you miss a tackle in the box, good things don't happen. Jeff Cameron, credit to him for recognizing that Biasia completely got turned, completely missed this ball on Gonzalo Higuain's feet. But yeah, like I said, when Gonzalo Higuain's running faster than you, it's time for you to call it quits on your career. So FC Cincinnati's defense, maybe that whole organization should get blunder of the week. Beautiful stadium, it looks like, but for the fans, not a way you want to open your brand new stadium with a 3-2 home loss. But that's it for this episode. Definitely did go longer than I thought I would. But hey, it's not an hour 30 minutes long like last episode, so hopefully you guys are still listening. But if you guys aren't following the podcast yet on social media, follow on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Free Kick Pod. Check out the website, thefreekickpodcast.com, wherever you get your podcasts, the Free Kick Todd Lewis. And next episode, I'm in the process of trying to get a play-by-play voice for DC United, Dave Johnson. He also is the play-by-play voice for the Washington Wizards. And since NBA playoffs are starting right now, I'm not sure what Dave's schedule is looking like. I know he's also the sporting director at a radio station. Dude's busy. So in the process of trying to get Dave to come onto the podcast to talk a little bit about this DC United versus Philadelphia Union game. If it happens, great. If not, we'll try to figure out what we can do to try to get somebody that knows something about DC United onto the podcast. But until then, my name is Todd, and this is the Free Kick Podcast.